So did you guys hear about the poll that was just conducted? I'm afraid most people haven't, and I'm afraid most people are not understanding what the results are communicating to us. It is the most invaluable information from a safety standpoint that we can have. They asked 1,000 MAGA voters if there were irrefutable evidence that Donald Trump was complicit in raping these children, these young girls, and in assisting Jeffrey Epstein in sex trafficking the victims, would you still support them? And of the 1,000, nearly 50% said that they would. 75 million people came out in 2024 and voted for Donald Trump. So what this says is that roughly 32 million men and women would support an pedophile and a child sex trafficker. They would support them. Why is this information pivotal? Because we have to figure out who these 32 plus million men and women are. Because you know who they are? They're the grandfathers who inappropriately touch their granddaughters. They're the fathers who inappropriately touch their daughters or their daughters' friends when they're having sleepovers. They're the church leaders who rape children, who groom and rape children. They're the male bosses who, with the use of their power, control and subjugate the women who work for them and then go on to sexually harass and even assault them. They're the young men who do not respect boundaries of young women and cross the line even after the young girl is crying and says no. And it's all the men who know that that man in their church, in their family, in their workplace, is doing these things, and they still give them a high five and go have beers with them and do not do anything to help these victims. And in case you think women are off the hook, those MAGA voting women, those are the women who want to be so adored and get attention from these youth leaders that they will ignore what they know is happening to children. These are the women who are married to the perpetrators, to the deviants, who cannot bear standing up to them because they're only identify themselves as the wife, and they so much want the adoration of their narcissistic, abusive husbands that they'll ignore that their daughters are being abused, or that their daughter invited a friend over and the husband touched them. That's who these women are. These are the women in the workplace who want the attention of these perverted men, so they'll ignore that it's happening to a female coworker. These are the women who will sign up for Moms for Liberty and walk into those board meetings and tell everybody else what a fucking sinner they are. We need to know the names. Who are these 32 million people who would still support Donald Trump? Because you need to keep your kids away from them. We all need to keep our kids away from them. The women and the men. Prove me wrong.